In 1914, the world still lived in the illusion of peace. But one bullet, a single assassination in a small corner of Europe, would ignite a fire that would consume an entire world. This is the story of the first modern war. A war that reshaped maps, dismantled empires, and sowed the seeds for World War II. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary in Sarajevo on June 28, 1914, was the spark that set off the flames of war. What seemed like a local event quickly escalated into a global conflict. Within days, the world would be plunged into the most devastating war ever seen. Europe, already divided by years of rising nationalism, imperialism, and complex alliances, quickly chose sides. On one side, the Triple Entente, France, Russia, and the United Kingdom. On the other, the Central Powers, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. The stage was set, and millions of soldiers would soon march to their deaths. The brutal reality of war was soon felt. In the muddy trenches of France and Belgium, soldiers faced a nightmare of endless shelling, gas attacks, and the constant threat of death. The trench warfare of World War I was unlike any conflict before, where men fought for mere yards of land, living and dying in appalling conditions. Gas attacks were a terrifying innovation, a poisonous, invisible threat that could take lives without a moment's warning. The smell of chlorine, the burning sensation in the throat, the panic. It was a war of attrition, and no one knew when or where the end would come. From the muddy fields of the Somme to the trenches of Verdun, every battle seemed endless. In the Battle of Verdun, over 700,000 men died, and in the Battle of the Somme, more than 1 million casualties were reported. The horrors of war unfolded. And yet, the fighting continued. Each side was determined to break the other. World War I also brought the full force of industrialization to warfare. The skies were filled with biplanes engaged in dogfights, while tanks lumbered across the battlefield, their heavy guns firing with unrelenting force. Technology was advancing faster than strategy, and the result was mass devastation. After 4 years of unimaginable slaughter, both sides were exhausted. On November 11, 1918, the guns finally fell silent. In a railway carriage in Compiègne, France, the armistice was signed, marking the end of the war. It was a moment of relief, but also one of bitter sorrow. The cost of victory was far too high. The war to end all wars, a title that would prove tragically ironic, as the unresolved tensions of World War I would lay the groundwork for an even more catastrophic conflict just 2 decades later. As the world tried to rebuild in the wake of the war, the landscape of Europe had changed forever. Empires fell, borders shifted, and millions of lives were lost. World War I was not just a war of weapons, but a war of ideologies, of nations, and of the human spirit. From the trenches of Europe to the skies above, the echoes of World War I still resonate today. It is a reminder of both the horrors of war and the resilience of humanity.